So as we said, last week we dealt with external concerns to Psak, the kavod one, which I know Shua doesn't like, but that's okay. But I think even Shua will agree with me that to figure out who can paskin for yourself, whether you can paskin for yourself, you're just got to figure out what does it mean to be a posek. Now, obviously, this is the shorthand version of what does it mean to be a posek. But give me the basic contours. What does one need to be a posek? What are they two? What does knowledge mean? Good. What does knowledge mean?
I would broaden.
Wait, first, Shua.
One word. I'm going to say the whole thing.
Well, what does knowledge include?
So, are you answering? Or
no, I would not.
Okay. So, I personally think that a post. Well, I'm not really confident, but here's my personal opinion. I think that
he's poskening what a posek. Yeah,
I think a posek needs to know. Not only within Torah knowledge, but also has to know medical knowledge, etc., etc., etc.
Let me speak broadly. See, this is interesting because you're both. I would have thought that all of you would have gone with something else, right? Which is what? Right? What? See, that's what you're all going for, but that's not actually.
He has to be a thinker.
That's what you said.
Okay, so let's. Knowledge means accumulation of facts, and what else does it mean?
Like able to analyze.
Yes, thank you. Right, the ability to analyze. So first things first. First things first. Right now, this is not me guessing. This is the Gemara. Look at number 7. This is the Gemara in Hurriyot. Okay, the Gemara here is describing. The context is parhel and davar shel tzibur. Yeah.
Would one say that one would meaning to be a posek you need the same ingredients to be like a shofet of it, meaning it's the same concept, right? Is it not? Okay.
Of course, right? I mean, judging on a court is a form of psak. Psak is more broad.
Psak is the
broad. There's a broader category.
Way of doing that, right? Meaning it's because of it's a result of.
No. Being a shofet is right. Well,
the budget in him was like the perfect system. Right?
If we had Sanhedrin,
Poskening is a non.
Well, we're gonna get this from the perfect system. What we're about to see is the perfect system. Right. So the context of this Gemara.
Is it incorrect to assume that it's the non-perfect version?
Well, before we get to the non-perfect version, let's talk about the perfect.
Okay.
I mean,
that's fair. That's
the basic contours. Let's talk about the perfect. Right. So the context is parhel and davar shel tzibur. Yeah. What's parhel and davar shel tzibur?
That is the par that is offered when they make a mistake.
It is a little bit more clear. It is a unique carbon that is brought under only the following circumstances. When the Sanhedrin
makes a mistake,
either Sanhedrin Agadol Yosef B'Yerushalayim or the localized Shvatim, it's Machlok in the Mishnah, right? But either the high court of the country or the high court of the Shevet sin and.
It's an Isser card.
And the majority of either the nation or right now, however you define majority, that's the question. Follows the incorrect psak, right? It's that combination of factors that lead to this problem.
Is it premature to ask what is incorrect psak?
Yes, it is. It is premature. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. But this is the background to this. So that is the Mishnah. Now, in that context, the Mishnah describes a very unique case, right? Which is when one of them knew that there. Well, actually, I don't need the very unique case. The Gemara then, in that context, discusses what happens if one of them, the members of Sanhedrin, right, or someone who is ra'ui to be on the Sanhedrin, is aware of the fact that they made a mistake. So in that context, the Gemara now has to figure out, well, what does that mean? Ra'ui lahora'ah. Right? What does it mean?
To be fit for something.
Yes, to paskin, lahora'ah. Right, so this is the Gemara in Hurriyot Daf Bet. V'yada echad man shato o talmid v'ra'ui lahora'ah. If one of them made a mistake, or a student, meaning someone who's not yet a member of the Sanhedrin, but ra'ui lahora'ah, right? Fundamentally, he is worthy of paskining. So Gemara says, Tarte lamali. Right? Why do you need both of these clauses? So Amarava, Itzrich, because I might have thought, and here the Gemara now introduces you to the two main factors a posek needs. Salka daita chamina. I might have thought that hani mile gamir v'savir, aval gamir v'lo savir lo. Right? The ideal posek is what the Gemara calls gamir v'savir. What's gamir? He knows.
And knower and a thinker.
Good. Right? A knower and a thinker. Very good. Gamir v'savir. Right? The Teimanim actually like using this. From I gather they like these phrases. A friend of mine who's a very, 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 very proud of his heritage started a group, the like Andalusian something, right?
Andalusia.
Yes, like that. That's like the golden age of Spain.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Andalusia.
people, Andalusia, yeah. So the Gemara says, I might have thought that the Talmud here requires both. Kamashmal, he doesn't. And Amar le Abaye lehora. You're joking me, right? You just said he's able to paskin. You can't know and not be able to think. Gamir v'savir mashma. The word to paskin, right? The ability, ra'ui lahora. The words are able to. Right? This is not me, right? This is like if you're reading more carefully. The words, the phrase, able to paskin means gamir v'savir. Right? Again, we read this very clearly. Lehora, to be able to paskin, gamir v'savir mashma. That is what is entailed by this phrase. So Amar Le, he said, you're right. This is what I said. Gamir v'savir. Aval gamir v'lo savir lo. Tana ra'ui laharam. Mishna yitera fil gamir v'lo savir v'lo gamir. He says, you're right. A full ra'ui laharam means someone who can think and knows. The extra phrase of Talmid Haroi Lara tells me that for these purposes, we're talking even a non-ideal posek. And a non-ideal posek can either be, right, someone who's like in the Parsha is someone who is either Gamir or Safir, right, is capable of analysis. But the ideal posek, right, it's clear, is Gamir. So look at Rashi said, is Lamad Hadafar. And Savir, Mevin Davar Mitoch Davar. It has the ability to analyze, right? So yes, the ideal posek on the ideal Sanhedrin, right? Ideal is what we call Gamir v'Savir. Okay? Now, the Rambam is now elaborates a bit on this, and this is right, the Rambam in this second paragraph of Sanhedrin, he says, Ein ma'amidim v'Sanhedrin, bein b'gdola, bein b'ktana, ela anashim, chachamim u'nifonim. But you can't be in the Sanhedrin unless they are knowledgeable and discerning. Muflagin b'chochmara Torah ba'alei deya miruba. They know a lot of Torah. And now we go to Yaakov. What do they need to know? It's not just Torah. Yodim k'tzad mishar chochmot. They need to know a little bit of other things. Kagon, refuot. They need to know a little bit of medicine. Cheshbon, a little bit of math. Tkufot u'mazalot, a little bit of astronomy. Yeah. Itstagninu darkei hamonanim v'kosmim v'machashvim.
They need to know itstagninu?
Yes, why?
What is it? Really? Itstagnine palo.
Why? Because they need. Why do they need to know magic?
They need to know what not to do.
No, they need to sentence people to death. They even need to know what's usher. They need to understand what it is. Because if someone, one of my friends / students, whatever. I was in the Kollel, he was in Shan Aleph, whatever, a few years apart. He asked me shilas pretty often. One day we've joked that like my first tshuva sefer will just be all the tshuva he's asked me in his life. So once he asked me and he said, I'm in Princeton, and Princeton has more money than they know what to do with. So Princeton decided that for our creative writing class, they're sending us on a tour of New York to have experiences we can write on. For a different creative writing class, they also accepted his request to be sent on a several-week vacation to go hiking in Argentina or Brazil or something. So they really have more money than they know what to do with. That's not the point. They have like $50 billion, $40 billion, some insane amount of money. Yes. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Penn, they all have as much money as...
It's like five.
Correct. They have more money than most countries. It's fine. But anyways, so he said, one of the things they're sending us to is a palm reader. Am I allowed to go? Now, I had never thought about the question.
A palm reader?
Palm reader. A psychic. Am I allowed to go? If everyone going thinks it's a farce, it's just for writing. Does that matter?
Have an element and diamonds for yourself.
Right? Yeah. So it was, right? I never really thought about the Shaila because, right? But then I had to look into it. I had to look into different types, figure out the Yisurim, right? If you want to paskin on that, it was actually very fun because I suggested a particular psak. I sent it out to a rabbinic listserv, and someone forwarded it to Rabbi Aryeh Leibowitz without me knowing, and the next thing I hear, I'm listening to Ray Leibowitz, who says, he reads my question from the email, and he says, I think it's mutter, right? And then I emailed him and said, by that point I had researched it, and Rosh Shechter had said it was usher, and he's a Talmud of Rosh Shechter. I said, by the way, Rosh Shechter thinks, he's like, oh, maybe I should rethink this, and we ended up going through the sugya. But my point is that what?
Maybe he was correct.
Or maybe he was, but he then rethought it. Anyways, but you need to know this. V'havlei avodah zarah v'chayotze ba'elu k'dei sheyodin ladun otam. Ve'ein ma'amidin b'Sanhedrin el kohanim v'yevim v'Yisrael v'yuchasim ha'ru'im silikun. And now the Sanhedrin itself, which is also a representative body, also requires people who are important or miyuchas. Shneimar v'yatzu sham imach v'domin lecha b'chachma v'yero v'yachas. Now that last element I don't think carries over to Psak at all, right? You need to be miyuchas, right? Because the Sanhedrin, right, is clearly more than just Psak. It's also image is a lot more important there. Yichus. Yes, yichus. But we'll bracket that. Now, the Rambam in what?
Born into Sanhedrin.
No. But you need to be like part of, kosher families. Let's leave it at that. Okay.
Oh, you just created a whole new thing in Shua's head.
Okay. Now, the Rambam in Perek Gimel Chachet. This is one of my favorite Rambams because it's the one that makes a lot of people angry. If I would read it to them in certain circles,
I really want to read it.
certain circles who believe that to be there are certain members of the community, broadly speaking, who believe. I'll first say what they believe correctly, and then I'll say what I disagree. Right? No, it's not Haredi. This is a critique on the other side of the community. Right? There are people in the community who believe that not every rabbi needs to be a posek. That much I agree with. Then they say, well, since not every rabbi needs to be the biggest chacham because they're Pedro, but they then sometimes end up, no, not every rabbi needs to be the biggest chacham. He needs to be nice. He needs to be pastoral. He needs to inspire. But then they sort of accidentally spill into, and once someone's a rabbi, well, he's the posek for his community, even though we already said that the qualifications for being a rabbi are not necessarily the same as being a posek. Right? They sort of blur that line. Right? This drives me crazy. Right? I'm totally okay with the statement that not every rabbi needs to be a posek. Right? That's true. Certain communities just need an inspiring person and v'chulei, right?
I know. I have someone in mind that exactly said that same thing to me.
Okay,
Very
good.
similar.
But one should not then think you are a posek just because you have the title rabbi, right? It doesn't work that way, right? Now, the Rambam in Halacha 10 is about as harsh as you can possibly be in making this point very clear. This is what he writes. Kol Sanhedrin, let me read this because I get such hana reading this halacha, and people get angry at me if I invoke it, but it's okay. Kol Sanhedrin, O Melech, O Rosh Golah, She'emidu lahen liYisrael, Dayan, She'eno hagun, Ve'eno chacham, Be'chochma HaTorah, Ra'ui liot Dayan. Anybody who appoints a judge who's not worthy of being a Dayan, and now he says, why might you do that? Why might someone appoint someone to be a posek who's not worthy? Why would you do it? Because afal pishu kolo machmadim, right? Even though he's just so nice, he has other good qualities. If you do this, you violate a biblical prohibition of not showing favoritism in judgment. Which Chazal understand as a prohibition on appointing judges. One second. And he says, it is the same as you might say, oh, he's good looking, he's nice, he's and he's strong. I should make him a judge. He's ploni krovi. He's my mishpacha. He's ploni yodeh b'chol lashon. He knows every language. What are you doing? Nimtza mizakeh achayav u'mechayev hazakai. You are responsible because now you have caused the innocent to be convicted and the convicted to be the guilty to be exonerated. Lo mibnei shu rasha, right? Not because he's a rasha. Elam mibnei she'enu yodea, because he's not knowledgeable. Likach ne'emar lo takiru panim b'mishpat. Don't show favoritism. V'lo v'od amru kol ma'amid liYisrael dayan she'eino hagun. And if you do appoint such a judge, ki'ilu hekim matzeva, it's like building a matzeva, right? A problematic mizbeach shneimar v'lakim lecha matzeva asher sanei Hashem Elokecha u'v'makom tamidei chachamim. And if you set up a non-worthy dayan when there are worthy tamidei chachamim around, ki'ilu nata ashera, it's as if you planted an idolatrous tree. Shneimar lo tita lecha ashera kol eitz eitz mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Right? V'chein amru chachamim lo ta'asun eiti eloi chesef eloah abba b'shvil kesef zahav. It's like setting up a god, right? We learn it from the Posek of Zara. Don't make gods of gold and silver. Meaning people you appoint because of money. Right? The Rambam makes it very clear, right? A member of Sanhedrin, we like nice people, don't get me wrong, right? But a Dayan must be Gamir V'Savir. Right? You don't appoint someone to be a Dayan because he's nice, because he's rich, because he's sweet, because he's inspiring. That's not why you do it. Right? Now again, we're talking about the ideal, right? And I'm not saying this about every rabbi. But I think it is true to an extent, obviously not to the extent of Sanhedrin, for any posek. Right? We must maintain that distinction. Again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying that every rabbi needs to be a posek. What I am saying is, anybody who claims to be a posek had better be qualified to be a posek. Right? Those are different statements. Yes?
You said a rabbi, because you made the statement a rabbi isn't necessarily posek. What if you switch that around? If you're a posek, can you be a rabbi?
Can you be a rabbi? Sure. Do you need to be a rabbi? No.
Would you be a rabbi then in that position you can give psakim?
If you are a posek, you can be a community rabbi. You can be, right? Assuming you're qualified for that. But it doesn't work the other way. Just because you're qualified to lead a community pastorally doesn't make you a posek. Psak is the mashal.
What's the add-on to make you a rabbi if you're a psak?
Okay, sure. Let's put it differently, right? Very simple. If you had two doctors, right, who were both of similar skill levels, right, and one had good bedside manner and the other one didn't, which doctor would you go to? Good. What happens if the guy who had good bedside manner is a mediocre diagnostician, right, or a mediocre surgeon, and the other guy is he's a bit arrogant because he's the best surgeon in the world, right?
More confident out.
Which one do you go with? Yeah, so psak is something that requires expertise. Yes.
So before you said it's an issue because you can't, well, I don't know the words in Hebrew, but you can't
Gamir, Savir.
No, you can't show favoritism.
Yeah, looks like you're pending b'mishpat.
Isn't that what you do when you pick your Rav to Posek for you?
No.
Is it different? You
No.
show favoritism towards him versus another Rav.
Neuro.
Right.
No. Neuro.
That's what anyone does.
Neuro. No, there's a problem of appointing. Neuro. You can. This is, okay. No. Remember, go back to what I just said. Right? It's not a problem if you had two doctors who were both qualified.
I can pick any.
Right? Then you would go to anyone, and you'd go to the one who you have a relationship with in a good bedside manner, right? But you wouldn't go to the guy just because he has good bedside manner if he's not an expert. That's the key. This is one directional, right?
But if they're sitting next to each other,
then it's legitimate.
Because
that's not favoritism, right? Meaning, fine, favoritism to do something which is not qualified. Meaning, you can.
Well, if they're not qualified, then I'm discussion.
But that's how Chazal understood it, right? Is when you use these extraneous factors, right? Meaning, the Rambam is saying these are all good factors. We like people who are nice, right? If you ideally had someone who was nice and someone who wasn't nice, and they were both, right, Talmidei Chachamim, so great, right? Now, I will qualify that in a minute, but fundamentally, right, this is true, okay? Now the Rambam says again. Now what does it mean? How much Torah do you have to know to be on the Sanhedrin? Again, we're still going to talk the ideal. Right? The ideal. How much Torah do you have to know? What do you have to be an expert in? Thank you. Kol HaTorah Kula. Everything. Now, what if you only want to be a posek in Hilchos Kashrut? Do you need to know everything?
You need to know kashrut, but some.
No, do you have to know everything?
According to the Rambam, yes.
Good. Where's the Rambam get that from? The Yerushalmi. Because the Yerushalmi has a radical claim. The following. Yesh lahen limnot kol mi shirtu ledvarim yechidim. You can, if you want, you can give someone smicha, right, real smicha, only for one thing. You can say you will be opposing in Hilchos Kashrus. You're opposing in Hilchos Nida. You will be a rabbi opposing in Hilchos Mezuzah. Good. Vihu sheyeh ra'ui likol hadvarim. Only if he is capable of paskening in everything. Meaning it's legitimate for someone to be more of an expert in one area, but on ideal Sanhedrin you can be more of an expert as long as you have basic expertise in everything. Now the Ravid turns on the Rambam and says, I don't understand that statement, right? Why do you need universal expertise to paskin on one thing? But you tell me, why do you need it? There's a few ways we could go with this.
Rabbi always describes Tosfos as the great. He does the interweb, right? That the Torah is all connected. So if you
one is the Rav Shechter approach, right? Rav Shechter says the reason is because simply, if you've learned all of Hilchos Kashrus, like you've learned all of the Simanim, let's say in Shulchan Aruch on Kashrus, that doesn't mean there isn't some halacha that's relevant, that's hidden in Becharos, that like affects Kashrus, but like it's not primarily about Kashrus. If you don't know everything, you'll miss that, right? That's the practical approach, which is you can't really be an expert in any one area unless you know everything, or slightly different. Rabbi once put it. Someone asked him. This was classic Rabbi. Someone asked him, Rabbi, are Yoatzot halacha allowed to paskin? Now, everyone knows that he supported Yoatzot, but he never says yes, no, right? He said, look, if they know Hilchot Nida, right, they can paskin Hilchot Nida. Okay, whether it's technically psak was something we talked about a little bit last week, okay? But they can convey the halacha and Nida, fine? But they have to know, and this is not just true of Yoatzot, but he was making a programmatic statement. One second. He just said, but remember, knowing Hilchot Nida doesn't mean you can pass in every Nida Shaila, because half the time a Nida Shaila is not about Nida. What's it about? Sveikot. Right? It's a suffix. And what you need to be an expert in is not Hilchot Nida, it's Chazaka, Rov, Karov, all the, right?
You're not qualified.
Correct. So there's the practical level, right? Which is simply, it's very hard to actually be an expert in one area because halacha is interconnected. There is the second level, and I remember this may have been the first year I heard from Rosenzweig when I was in 11th grade or something. He came to visit Rambam and gave a shir. I don't know if he still does it. Because Mishpacha, obviously, right? Because she's Eliash's brother-in-law. So, Basha. Or now, what is he? Now he's, I guess, Ariel teaches there, right? So, father. Anyways, not the point. He said, no, it's more than that. It's because part of Psak isn't just knowing the knowledge. You know this. People, at some point, right, you can tell, right? There are people who know a lot. There are people who know so much that they just have a chush, right? It's an intuition, right? It's not even just like I might happen to find something somewhere else, right? It's at some point you know so much Torah that you speak with the intuition of what the Torah wants, just because like you know enough, right? At some point, there's the act of learning means that you just get a sense, right? It's not like it's just that moment, right? It's not like I can say, oh, now I know enough. There's that point where you know that certain people, you just trust them, that whether or not they get it, right? Whether or not you'll agree on every psak, you know that they have an intuitive approach, right? The way they say it in yeshivish circles, right? There's it. I think Rabbi Ziskin said this more than once, right? That in yeshivish circles they say that the strongest moments in, I think they use Ricky Baker, some of the Rush sometimes, right? Is not when he brings a proof, but when he says Vilim Yireh, right? Because you would say, oh, isn't that weaker, right? He's not bringing a proof, and he said, no, at a certain level, yes, it's weaker. It doesn't bring a specific proof. But if the Rush says, here's a proof, right, that means, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, like about what the Torah says, but I think that this Gemara points in the direction. When he says, Velin Yireh, he's saying, look, I don't have a particular proof, but like, I've been learning my entire life, right, and I have a feeling that this is the answer, right? What he's really saying is that my intuition about the system, right, tells me this is probably the right answer. I can't prove it to you, right? So Rosenzweig claimed that that's what the Rambam is getting at. That even if you're only an expert, right, you're a super expert in one area, if you're not at least a workable expert in the whole area, you have not yet integrated the Torah into you in such a way to have that intuition, right? And what we need for a posek is someone who has integrated that. So he says, so Kate's, what?
Does anyone really posek today? Does anyone really know?
So the number of poskim who are like mamish poskim is Very small. Are there people like that? Yes. Right? Like, when you talk to Rav Shechter, yes. He knows, Rav Shechter, when you talk to him, right? Any sugya you talk to him about it, anywhere, right? He will tell you what's going on there, and he will tell you his vort. You can agree or disagree, but his thought about any sugya you have ever seen or ever will see, right? You talk to Rusher Weiss, right? Doesn't matter what you say to him, right? It's, oh yes, right? Like,
You're a big fan of Rusher Weiss. How many times have you gone there?
Many times. Literally, the man knows. No. Like, I went to hear him. Like, the man literally knows Shas, Gemara, Rashi knows those by heart, right? Bli Guzma, right? By heart, right? There are people like that. People like Reb Chaim Kanievsky, right? Reb Chaim Kanievsky, you have a question on Egla Rufa, he has a book of 300 pages on Hilchos Egla Rufa. Someone like that, yes, it's called Nachal Eitan, right? There are people in the world like that. I don't remember, 200, 400, it's long.
Did you read it?
What? I read parts of it when I was your age, yeah.
I know, I did not read it.
But look, he also, remember, he is someone who, like, even things that I don't understand why he's written on them, like, he commissioned his grandson to write a Mishnah Brura style book on Hilchos Gilui Mayim. Okay?
I don't know what that is.
Uncovered water. Those halacha that we barely keep or don't keep, right? He has a book on it, right, where he wrote Shuvot, commenting on his grandson's book on it, right? Meaning any sugya you can think of, right? He has a book on it.
What are the halachas about covering water?
Exactly. Not for now, right?
I've never heard that.
Exactly. That's my point. How many people are there in the world? There are people like that, right? Rabbi Ovadia Yosef was like that, right? That was why I tore Kriya when Rabbi Ovadia died, right? Because he qualified, or tried anyways. I had a kid in one hand and he kept pulling in my shirt. I don't think it flipped very much, but fine.
It says rip your heart, not your heart, so it's okay.
And when Ruchenstein died, I had a scissor on hand, so I happened to be at home. Because I think Meir was sick, right?
To just take off my shirt.
No, you tear it. No, you tear it, and for Rebbe Mufak, it's an ein mach, and you never sew it back up. I threw out the shirt.
Ein mach.
Yes.
That was last year. That was Moed Kotzen.
While it's torn.
At the beginning, but then I threw it out. Anyways.
The interweb.
Okay, let's continue. Come on, guys.
We're going to share about
Okay.
Talk about Moed.
So he says, Keitzav, Chacham Mufla Sheroi Lahorot L'Chola Torah Kula Yesh Levedin L'Smoch Oto V'Litin L'Rashut L'Adun V'Lo L'Orot B'Yisur V'Eter. Right? If he could paskin everything, then you can give him localized psak. Okay, fine. Let's skip for a moment 12, because 12 is about getting permission for paskening. That's also part of it, but we'll come back to that. Now, this is the ideal, right? The Sanhedrin, the ideal. Elamai, most poskim we're dealing with are, as Shua says, not that, right? I could think of maybe 5 people in this world who fit this. I'm not sure I could think of 70, right, for a Sanhedrin. Okay, so the reality is usually we're dealing with poskim who are pretty good but not that. So, how does one qualify a posik of that level, right? That's an important question. Good, so let's go for a moment to 13. 13 is the smak. Who's the smak?
You can get 70 together?
I don't know. Maybe. Okay, who's the smak?
Arishon.
He is.
Thank you. What's his name?
Simcha.
The Mimi Kurbei, like Kurbil in Hebrew, but it spells Kurbil, but Kurbei, right? Something like that. Anyways, he says mitzvah kuf yud aleph is lehorot. There's a mitzvah to paskin. Dichtiv lehorot b'nei Yisrael. Mitzvah la'adam lahashiv lashoel dvar ha'orah im yodea. You're supposed to respond if you know how. Afilu lo higia lahorah. Even if you're not a posek, even if you aren't qualified, right? There's a recognition that what, right? That. Right, there's the ideal, but realistically, not every shaila requires that level of posek, and sometimes you deal with the best you got. So that person, what?
Right, according to the Rambam, it does. It requires that level.
No, that's Sanhedrin. But I'm thinking, right? But now he's saying just lahorot. So he says, look, ideally, obviously, you get the person who is. I think so. You couldn't grant him smicha, right? Formal smicha. But you do the best you can, right?
Formal smicha from Moshe.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. He says, "Afil lo igilara imin gadol bir kmoto." If there's no one greater than him, if there is, obviously you leave it to the expert. But if there isn't, meaning there is such a notion that people can lemaisa be poskim in less than ideal circumstances. The Rimigash in 14 was asked about such a case, and this was the question he got. He said, "Sheila, ma yomar Adonenu b'ish shelo kara me'olam halacha imra, ve'enu yodea derech halacha v'lo perusha v'lo kriyata." Someone, he doesn't know Gemara, he doesn't know how to interpret. Elo shura harbe mi tshuvat hageonim zal, but he reads a lot of tshuvat hageonim, which in the time of the Rimigash was the equivalent of he reads a lot of art scroll books, right? Meaning, right then he doesn't read the primary sources. He reads, but he's very well read in the modern literature, which in his time was the Gaonim, fine, right? Like, right? Okay, it's a long time ago, fine. I mean, the Rimigash, remember, is who's Talmud?
I thought it was a Rishon.
Yeah, but he's at the beginning of the Rishonic period, so he's talking about fine. You're right, not the art scroll books. He knows the Igros Moshe backwards and forwards. Fine, he's talking like a generation before him. Remember, his Rebbe is the Rif. We're talking borderline here, right? So he's saying he knows the Gaonim, and he knows the modern Shuvah. He doesn't necessarily, he's not a Baki and Shas, but he knows any Shuvah or Moshe Feinstein, any Shuvah or Ravadi Yosef, Tzitz Eliezer, right? He'll tell you.
Proofs inside there?
No, this is the Shaila. Right? Can he, Vilonela me'adeni sha'tshuvan einam do matzav echad befrali shanot me'em shenichnas be'em hafseid mitzad matikim otam ze yachadu k'tzad tshuvotem lezulat v'alein garmem and agonim haru b'tshuvotehem al she'lachar chazru be'em. He said, now I know that like this is a bit dangerous because people contradict each other, people change their minds, or if you don't have the primary sources, it's a bit dangerous to just paskin out of a Moshe, right? But this is the reality. Right? He says, he doesn't know what's right or wrong. Right? He's not a primary posek. He doesn't know how to analyze the sugya. Right? He can't gauge it, but he is well read in the contemporary halachic literature. Im yuchal laharot binyan echad o binyan echad v'yizog adin bo ve'efshar liyot shotah ram imenu kvar chazar bo mareba. Is he allowed to paskin knowing that maybe the posek he's relying on retracted? He doesn't know where it came from the Gemara. He doesn't know. Is he allowed to paskin? Are you allowed to rely on him for anything? Now the end of this is where this gets tricky because he says this guy A doesn't know Gemara, B is not a Yerush Shamayim. So, as you can well guess, that second one sets the Rimigash off, which is no, if someone doesn't fear God, don't go to him as a posek. That are we all in the same boat here?
Why is he even at it? That's like
this is what the guy asked. I don't know. Fine, ve'idu alav birishiot rabot. He wasn't just not Yerush Shamayim. It was attested to that he was a Rasha. Fine. Ve'idu alav shehu nitla yom li'nendin echad b'shelat echad u'meyachezel lagon echad u'machar nitla b'din adomelo b'shelat echad. And also he sometimes lies. Right? Says it was Moshe, it was Ravadia. Says Ravadia. Okay. The second half of the tshuva is where the Rimigash says, but let's look at his answer. Tshuva. Da sha'ish hazeh ra'u yoter lahatir lo la'arot me'anashim rabim kavuot malarat v'zamein hazeh v'rubam ein me'em afil echad mishnei dvarim el rotzinu lomar havanat alacham midal daragonim zal. He said, look, if it weren't for the lack of Yerush Shamayim, what would I say about this guy? What would I say about him?
it's good.
No.
Good enough.
He's better than a lot of the other people around. Meaning, is someone who knows every tshuva in Ramosha and every tshuva in Ramah and every tshuva in Tzitz Eliezer, is he going to get everything right? No. Is he going to get it better than somebody who isn't an expert in modern psak but thinks he's an expert in Gemara but really isn't? Right? He says, look, I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm saying, right, he says, V'otam shemidamim lahorot miyun halacha. He said, those people who think that they are primary poskim, right? Guys, listen, this is important. He says, "V'otam shemedamim lahorot miyun halacha u'michozek iyunam b'talmud." Right? Those people who think they're following the Gemara, him shroy lamonam mizeh. Stop them, right? L'fi she'ein b'zmanenu zeh she'eh ra'ui l'kach. He said, realistically, in his time, there isn't anybody who can do that. He said, look, obviously the ideal, right? I'll summarize after this. He says, look, obviously the ideal is someone who both knows the Gemara and knows the contemporary Diyun. But if I had to choose someone who only knows Gemara and someone who is well read in the halachic literature, I'll take the second one. Because in the end of the day, right? Yes, ideal is I know the Gemara, I know what I think, I know the contemporary consensus, but if I can't have everything, right, it takes a very high level, as we talked about, to be a real posek from the Gemara primary sources. Most people aren't there. And therefore he says, on balance, I'd rather there's someone who knows the literature, because in the end of the day, what's the worst that'll happen? Right? 90% of the time, you'll end up relying on Ramosha, Bavadia, Tzitz Eliezer, whatever.
It's better to be a Bucky in that as opposed to than to be like a super Gemara.
Correct. Now, he's not saying this is an ideal. He says, obviously the ideal is, you know, the Gemara. He says that's very hard for someone to be such a good posek that they can always pass the Gemara. Obviously, it's best to know both, right? But what you already see in the Rimigash is this, right? Is this recognition, right? That we're not always dealing, right? The Sanhedrin is our ideal. But we also have to deal, when you figure out who's a posek, right? There is the ideal and then there's the real. The ideal, know the sugiyot and precedent. If you have to choose somebody, right?
Those people spend their lives doing what you want to do.
Correct. He's saying, what's the word?
It's just a conduit to go.
Bidiyuk, right? He says it's not ideal, it's not the best, obviously.
It's not the best, but they went.
Correct. Right, and this is where you see that transition. Now the second half, obviously, he says, but in your particular case, stay far away from that guy because he's a Russia. So that, and he's a liar. So, but I don't need to tell you that, right? Newsflash: avoid Rishayim and liars as poskim. Okay, good. We're all clear on this. Now, one of the major questions in modern psak, by modern I mean the last like 500 years, right? Is does Shulchan Aruch change this? Right? Does the existence, right? Meaning, it's one thing to say Tshuvat Agonim, but it's a little bit unfair to say Tshuvat Agonim is the equivalent of the modern halachic literature, because the modern halachic literature has a benefit over the Tshuvat Agonim, which is it is organized. Right? Meaning, one of the problems with just being a baki in Tshuvot was that
it's not organized.
Right, it's not organized. Maybe you missed a tshuva, maybe he retracted, right? But like organized books, does that change l'maisa? Right? Does that change l'maisa, our ability to paskin without knowing the Gemara, without knowing the primary sources, right? Because if you talk to most poskim, right, a lot of poskim, right, people who are even decent, right? At least second tier poskim, okay? Like good second tier, right? Not the gedolim, but fine. Are what I would call pachor o yoter Shulchan Aruch poskim, right? Meaning they don't necessarily know kol haTorah kula.
Smicha nowadays.
I'm not talking about like third-rate poskim. I'm not talking about like your average rabbi who can look something up in Shulchan Aruch. I'm even talking about experts, but don't necessarily know kol haTorah kula, right? But maybe they've gone through Shulchan Aruch and they're aware. I mean, they are aware of the Dionim, or they have looked at it, but they haven't necessarily gone through all of Shas with all the Rishonim, right? Does that change things, right? Now, what I didn't put here, because I think I saved it for another share, but I'll say it outside, and maybe we'll go more into this at a different point. By the way, the next page is just about bias, so we're really where we are for part 2 here. There is a bit of a question of, I'll say this outside. The Gemara, the end of Bracha and the end of Horiot, asked the following question. If I had a choice, who should be a Rosh Hashiva? Either the Gemara says Oker Harim or Sinai. That's it, right? Oker Harim or Sinai, right? Sinai is the one who knows everything, and Oker Harim is the one who's better at analysis. Now we're talking here presumably about people who are skilled in both, but one is, right? Who is better? So the Gemara answers which one?
Oker Harim.
No. The Gemara answers that Sinai is better, and despite that they appointed the Oker Harim as Rosh Hashiva, but it was wrong, right? It seems like it was wrong, right? Because the Gemara says Akol Tzrichei Lamare Dechitaya. Everyone needs the person who has the right.
Right, you need the wheat.
Has the wheat. But, and Rav Lichtenstein is very fond of this. This change. Now, Rav Lichtenstein used to quote this. Okay. This appears. Rav Ovadia quotes it from Rav Shlomo Kluger or Chaim Kuf Lamed Vav in his Hagot to the Pri Megadim. Okay, who says that Bisman Hazeh, when we have books, Oker Harim is more important than Sinai because information is cheap, right? Anyone can access information. right? But being able to analyze is much harder, right? Rabbi Vadia pushes back on this and says it's not really true. You still, and this comes back to the Rosenzweig point before, you still need to have seen the Torah. I mean, the fact that you can look things up still doesn't give you that intuition, right? You still need to have awareness of the Torah, right? So there is that tension. Now, part of that is also a different point. We're looking like to quote from he quoted from the Lechem Mishnah. The Lechem Mishnah in Perkei Halacha Daled of Talmud Torah, and I'm sure I quoted this to you before, says that Bizman Hazeh, once you have books, right, the halacha, Mora Halacha B'fnei Rabbo, primarily applies to paskening without looking something up in a book, because our books are our rebellion. Now, he's not the first person to say this. The first person to say it is actually the Balatos wrote, but quoted in a sefer that none of you have probably ever looked at or knew that existed, which is in the commentary to the Smak Mitzurech, Rav Moshe of Zurich, the only Swiss Balatosot that I know of. I think he's the only Swiss Balatosot. Which Rabbi Dr. Cannerfogel pointed out to me, because otherwise, how the heck would I find the comments on the Smak of Rav Moshe of Zurich?
I've never seen a Smak in my entire life.
Oh, the Smak I look at all the time. But the Smak, but the Smak also the Beis Yosef quotes him all the time.
I know, but I've never seen
He's Germany,
a Smak.
13th. Really?
You heard of the Shluck?
What? Of course I've heard of him, but you're talking much later. But very nice. But the Smak Mitzurech quotes it from here. So part of the thing, and maybe we'll do this more extensively later in the year, because right now I want to lay out principles, but I want you to realize that one of the central questions that you have to ask in modern world is, how has all of these equations changed when the access to information is even cheaper? Right? Now, this is one of the topics I like a lot. So, someone actually emailed me 2 days ago and said, I'm starting a PhD on this topic. What sources can you provide for me? Right? And I referenced 2 articles that are written on it, because I really like this topic a lot. Right? But we'll come back to that, right? Which is how this plays out in the modern period. But before we get to that, we have to look at sort of the precursor to this by 500 years, right? Which is, how does Shulchan Aruch do this? So, the background to this is that the Gemara has, Chazal have very harsh things to say about someone who paskins from what source? The Mishnah. Thank you.
Mibli ha'olam.
Mivale. They destroy, right? Anyone who paskins from a Mishnah, mivale ha'olam. They destroy the world. Okay? That is a harsh term. Now, what is the Mishnah? How does the Gemara, right? What does the Gemara mean by Mishnah? What does it mean by Mishnah?
Not
per se.
No, not
correct.
Svar.
It means the halacha without the analysis, which is what the Mishnah was for them, right? Correct, right? So the question that was then asked by the modern
Poskening from Shulchan Aruch.
was Poskening from Shulchan Aruch is, does the stricture against Poskening from Mishnah mean you can't Poskening from Shulchan Aruch, which would move the bar, right? What is a Posek back to people who analyze the Gemara?
Right.
So I gave you just one source. The Piskei Tshuva here quotes from the Maharsha. He quotes Ein Maharsha b'chilush ha'gados peragimel d'sadosh shekasa uvidorot alalu odam shemorim alachim mitoch ha'shulchan aruch harei heim ein yodim atam ha'anyan shekol davar im lo yidaktu tchila b'davar mitoch ha'talmud shu shimush talmid chachamim ta'ut nafal b'horatanim b'chlal mevalei olam v'lachein yesh ligor bahen. The Maharsha says those who paskin from Shulchan Aruch are those who destroy the world, because Shulchan Aruch is what the Mishnah once was, unexplained halacha l'maisa. But the Piskei Tshuva pushes back on the Maharsha and he says that was true for a very short historical window, which was
the time of the Maharsha.
Not Mr. Brew, when there weren't Mefarshim.
Dalko Bisman Harav Maharsha.
Because he says the Dalko Bisman Maharsha shelo haya dayin shum chiva Shulchan Aruch ve'idna shenischabru ataz v'shach magen Avram v'shar achronim v'chol din mavur atam b'mkomo shabir damer lahora mitoch Shulchan Aruch v'achronim. He says, but nowadays, when you say you pass from Shulchan Aruch, you don't mean you pass from Shulchan Aruch. You mean you pass from Shulchan Aruch and the Nosei Kalim. And what do they Nosei Kalim do on Shulchan Aruch?
Explain the time.
They tell you the machlokes. They tell you why. Right? They help you apply. Now again, is this ideal? No.
But it's not Mivale Olam.
But it's not Mivale Olam. So here what you see is that ideal. What does it mean to be a posek? To know Shas, to know the primary sources. But there is this recognition that poskim, we're not really talking about the Sanhedrin Agadol Yosef Yerushalayim. We're talking about, people who are not quite at that level. What does it mean therefore to be a posek? So, if he knows Gemara, great. Minimum, right? He has to be well versed in halachic literature. Is that ideal? No, right? But then you see this playing out where Marsha says people pass like Shulchan Aruch, that doesn't count at all. Why? They don't know what they're doing. They're just spitting back laws meaninglessly. But if you have Shulchan Aruch and Nosei Kelim, again, is that ideal? No. But is it Mavalei Olam? No, because at least you're engaging in some sense with the rationales, the primary sources. Ideal? Maybe not. Right? But sufficient for most psak? Yes. Right? And this is what I think you get, is that the ideal Posek, ideal Sanhedrin, knows everything. Gamir v'Savir knows primary sources, can analyze them v'chula. Non-ideal, we have varying levels. But one of the key questions, as I said, in the modern period that we'll have to analyze maybe separately is, and this is where we're going to go from what does it mean to be a Posek to now really the question we're trying to get to, which is, can any of you paskin, right, is, okay, once we recognize that we are in a non-ideal, meaning, we're not talking about Poskim, right? Most psak is carried out by people who are competent, but not Vasher Weiss, right? So, at what point can you say, look, right, I also have learned, I also have access to information, I have, right, once the poskim are functioning on a b'diavad plane, meaning they're saying it's somewhat legitimate to poskim Shulchan Aruch and Nosei Kelim, because maybe you didn't know the Gemara, but by looking at Shulchan Aruch and Nosei Kelim, you'll have access to the main sugya, to the main reasons, and you can figure it out. Right? Once the reality is that 90% of psak is happening on that plane, we're on the plane of the Rimigash. Most people don't know the Gemara. They're conversed in halachic literature. Well, this really opens the door to say, then why can't I paskin, or can I? Not why can't I. Can I, or more precisely, when can I? Because the answer is going to be yes, sometimes you can paskin for yourself. Right?
You're biased.
What?
You're inherently biased.
That's the third topic we have to do, which is bias. Right? But like I said, we have to do this very systematically. Right? But you understand how, right, these are really three separate questions. Right? The first question was contextual issues, right? Your Rabbi is there. Second issue is what qualifies in an ideal world, but then in the real world. But once you recognize that most psak is functioning, right, 90% of psak, 95% of psak is functioning in that plane, that means that it is legitimate, even if not ideal, for most halachic decision making, right, to not happen at the level of the Sanhedrin. Well, once that's true, what happens when? So people used to say, well, I have Bar Ilan, right? But let's be honest. The reason that the halachic world has changed is not just because people have Shulchan Aruch and they have, summary books from Art Scroll and they have Bar Ilan. Why has it really changed? Is that people have access to analysis. Right? It's not just that people have access to information. Right? You're right. Having Bar Ilan, I still need a Posek. But that's not what it is. You could Google and find articles analyzing the primary arguments of both sides and actually judge the primary arguments. Right? You can not know Hebrew. Right? And in most sugyot, you can find at least decent analysis of both sides. Meaning, right, what's changed it even more than access to sources is easy access to analysis, right? And that question of how that affects psak and how that enables people to paskin without poskin is a very important halachic question. I don't want to get into it, but I'll just say quickly that in 12, I just put what we call smicha is not what I talked about smicha, like kol eter, etc. It's what we call heter hora, right? Which is where your Rebbe or whatever gives you permission and says you can paskin any particular issue. Right? That's what we call smicha, just to know that. Right? It comes from this Gemara where it's actually a question and answer. He asked him, Yoreh, am I capable of paskining? Isra heter? Yoreh. Your Big whatever. What?
It's always called Yoreh.
Yes, Yoreh. It's a question answer. Am I allowed to paskin this of a heter? Yoreh. Yes, you are. Right? Yadin. Can I do Yadin? Can I judge monetary cases? Yadin. Right? Now I will point out, and this is something we can't get into right now, is that part of getting a heter is not just your your Posek Rabbi telling you that you know how to paskin. It's also being convinced that you know how to convey information such that other people will understand your psak. Because that's right. Being a Posek, that's part of it, right? Now that's less relevant for you paskin for yourself. That is relevant for being a Posek, is being capable of conveying information. Okay, but this is question 2. Question 3 we'll have to deal with is bias, and then after that, right? I think once we have the 3 principles, we can ask the question, like I said, well, what does that look like in the modern period when, again, access not just to material, but access to analysis is so easy, right? How does that affect all of you who at least have enough, right, yeshiva experience too? Maybe at least look at arguments and say, well, what do I do with this? Right? Meaning, you may not know Kol Kula, but right, you can get pretty easy access to a consensus, right? So what do you do then, right? But you understand how you have to be very methodical and right, build up all these questions. Then you can understand why, as they say in Hebrew, Nafal HaSimon, right? Right? It means literally just the token fell, but it means like, right, at some point we woke up and like everything is different, right? That's really what we're dealing with. It. All these principles play out so interestingly in the modern world. That's what we have to analyze directly, okay? But next week we'll deal with bias. Once we've had those 3 questions set up, right, then we can sort of, right, really pin it down. But we'll have to take it, right, step by step, okay?